You may have heard of a lot of the current vitamins: vitamin A, vitamin B1, B2, B3, B5, B7, B12, maybe even B9, I think. Then there's vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. I'm pretty sure they're all the vitamins that are sort of classified as a vitamin in the modern day. But what you may not know is that there are a few vitamins of the past that have been declassified or simply named into something completely different. And that is the purpose of this video, to educate you and give you some kind of insight into different kinds of vitamins that existed in the past. But first, as always, subscribe and stick around to the end, implementing these tips and tricks into your life. Now, a lot of the vitamins in this sort of vitamins of the past list are essentially B vitamins, just named as a different thing. I've talked about, like I said earlier in the list at the start of the video, like B1, B2, B3, B5, B7, B9, B11, B12, all that sort of stuff. A lot of these B vitamins were essentially just named as different things, but they're all now inside of the B category. I may do a video on why that is later, but now I'm just telling you what vitamins there were in the past which aren't there now. But vitamin H, the first vitamin of the past, was known as biotin, which is now known as vitamin B7. This is a common coenzyme that's used in many reactions in the body, and a coenzyme essentially works and functions with an enzyme to be able to break and split apart a molecule or transfer a molecule into another thing. That's how a coenzyme works, basically. I'll do a video on how a coenzyme works in the future, but biotin is one, and it was called vitamin H, but now it's called vitamin B7. But the second vitamin of the past is vitamin J, which is riboflavin. Now, riboflavin now is vitamin B2. It is, again, like biotin, vitamin B7, an essential coenzyme that's involved in chemical reactions that sort of need to happen for the body to work. It's involved in the production of niacin. Even though niacin, vitamin B3, is technically a vitamin, it can be produced by the body, but just in very small amounts, not enough to be sufficient for your body to use it in all its potential ways, but it can be produced. And riboflavin is involved in that synthesis, as well as many other metabolic reactions inside the body. It is also a very powerful antioxidant, and antioxidant events is very important in the diet because there are a lot of free radicals in our environment and just sort of in food, in life, in the world in general. A free radical is something that will readily react with basically anything in its environment, and that includes the cells of your body, and that causes a lot of oxidative stress, causes you to age quicker, and it's not good news. But antioxidants like riboflavin, things like selenium, etc., they all help to protect against things like free radicals. And the third vitamin of the past is known as vitamin L, anthralic acid. Anthralic acid, while it can be synthesized by the body, it's not a B vitamin or anything else. It's simply just not classified as a vitamin anymore because it can be produced in sufficient amounts needed to do its functions by the body. It's involved in the production of vitamin B3, niacin, even though only 3% of anthralic acid that is produced from tryptophan ends up being used to produce niacin. The rest of it is used to produce acetyl coenzyme A, absolutely vital thing for the body to be used in the electron transport chain, the Krebs cycle, and all that good stuff that produces energy for your body for you to live and move on a daily basis. It can also be toxic when ingested in large amounts. That's probably why it was declassified, as well as the fact that it can be made in sufficient amounts by the body. That's why they don't really classify as a vitamin, so the supplements and stuff aren't made for it, because realistically it doesn't need it. Now, the fourth vitamin of the past is known as vitamin J, which is choline. Now, choline, it's not an essential molecule, but it can help in the production of cell membranes, and cell membranes are basically used by cells to sort of dictate what goes in and out of the cell. And if the cell membrane isn't strong enough, then it's going to allow things that are way too toxic to actually pass through the cell membrane and to cause things like oxidative stress on that cell. You may have heard of something known as trans fats. Trans fats and fats in general also help to build the cell membrane, but a trans fat will often let these molecules, these free radicals, pass through the cell membrane because it's simply just not a stable enough fat. And this is bad news for your cells, and that is why things like trans fats are not good news for you in many more ways than simply just cardiovascular disease and all that sort of generic stuff. Now, the fifth vitamin of the past is known as vitamin Q. And this is kind of like, it never really was classified as a vitamin specifically, but it is still kind of like a generic term for a vitamin. Vitamin Q stands for coenzyme Q, and just like coenzyme A, it's a coenzyme, just like things like biotin and riboflavin is helpful and used in loads of metabolic reactions. It's still kind of classified as a vitamin, but that's simply mainly due to advertising purposes, so that you may buy people supplements and stuff of vitamin Q, coenzyme Q, and all that sort of stuff. It never really was classified as a vitamin, but it's just kind of like a slang term. I thought I might as well include it because it may be something you come across on the internet or whatever, and it's probably best that you know what it actually even is. Now, the sixth vitamin of the past is known as vitamin M, folic acid. Folic acid is still a current vitamin, just now known as vitamin B9. The B vitamins are all water-soluble vitamins. They're not really ever toxic because they are readily excreted by the body if it does become toxic, but it's very, very useful. You may have seen folic acid supplements being advertised towards pregnant women before, and that is because folic acid is really necessary for the production of fetuses. It's so necessary for fetuses to actually build and develop inside of the womb, as well as the functions that it has on an adult body, a normal body that's sort of not pregnant. It's needed to build red blood cells, and it's just generally needed for blood production by the body in general. Now, vitamin N, a bit like vitamin Q, this is kind of a little bit of a slang one. It's not technically a vitamin of the past, but it's something that you do need. This is kind of a little bit woo-woo, but vitamin N essentially stands for nature. You probably should spend a little bit of time in nature each week, each day maybe. Just sort of observe your surroundings, be grateful, be relaxed, be peaceful. It will do you a lot of good. Just kind of trust me and many other people that have sort of said that nature is good. I literally got this off of a book that was titled Vitamin N, that just promoted spending a bit of time in nature and how much it can do for your health, especially with the things that sunlight does for you, circadian rhythm, sleeping, all that sort of stuff. Just take the fact that vitamin N, while not technically a vitamin, essentially is so. It's used to produce actual vitamins like vitamin D, but you might as well sort of classify it as such inside of your own mind, because it is necessary, basically so you don't go insane and have normal mental health that will just benefit you in so many ways. Now, the next vitamin in the past, a bit like the last one, isn't technically a vitamin, but it kind of is. It's a bit of a slang thing. Vitamin O, standing for oxygen. Oxygen, it's interesting because it is essential. You need it, otherwise you'll be dead, but we can't produce it on our own. So you know what? Technically, it is a vitamin, but probably because it's not really advanced enough, it's readily available, it's not something that you kind of need to look for in foods and diets. Maybe that's why it's not classified as a vitamin. Who knows? It's an interesting thing because oxygen is essential for our bodies. You can't live without it. And yeah, maybe one day I'll figure out why it's not actually supposed to be classified as a vitamin, because it sure does seem pretty essential to me. The next vitamin of the past is also known as vitamin F, and these are the essential fatty acids. So they are essential. They can't be synthesized by the body. Omega-3, 6, and 9 linoleic acid, alpha-linoleic acid, and maybe beta-linoleic acid. I don't know. They're more commonly known by the media as 3, 6, and 9 omegas, and you need them to be able to produce certain things in your body, like cell membranes in your brain, neurons, myelin sheaths, that's the word I was looking for, all that sort of good stuff. You need it for that. That's why they are essential. They're not a vitamin because they're more commonly known as EFAs, essential fatty acids. It is sort of a vitamin because it is essential, but I think it's because they're more commonly known as essential fatty acids, omega-3, omega-6, and omega-9. That's why they're not sort of generically classified as a vitamin. I'm not even sure what dictates the classification of a vitamin. I'm pretty sure it is just if it's not produced by the body in sufficient amounts, yet is essential for metabolic processes. That kind of defines a vitamin. But there's probably a few other little nitty-gritty things that I can't mention in this video simply because I don't have the knowledge to talk about them at this present moment. Now, vitamin P is a very sort of weird type of vitamin. It's a classification of a group of things known as phytochemicals, flavonoids, as well as antioxidants. Antioxidants, I've talked about what they do. Flavonoids, I'm not even really sure what flavonoids do, nor what phytochemicals do. I'm pretty sure they themselves are the antioxidants, but they have a lot of the same qualities that sort of vitamins do in the fact that they can be used as coenzymes, but a lot of them are just produced in sufficient amounts by the body. It's just the fact that if you have a little bit extra, a little bit of sort of reserve power, that's good in case you sort of aren't able to eat the right amount of food or the right amount of those for a day or whatever. Maybe that's the case, but that's pretty much it. That's all the sort of vitamins of the past, vitamin H, J, M, N, O, all that sort of stuff. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you've got a little bit more knowledge out of this video than what you previously had. But I also highly recommend subscribing to get more content like this, as well as because I love this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than they already have. And good luck.